Welcome back to another, what is it? Travel Tip Tuesday.
Wait, really quick, I just like to point out that it must be somewhat cold because Mark has not only a beanie on, long sleeve shirt, pants, shoes with socks.
Yeah, so it is cold out, and that leads me to a big problem that I've been having, which is disconnecting all the hoses every night because it's getting below freezing. Everything freezes up, you don't want your hoses to explode and all that good stuff. So I've been wrestling for the past, 2 months. This hose situation, it's been driving me nuts, and Jenn recommended, this is a Jenn Travel Tip Tuesday tip, to get this particular feature, which is hose quick connects. That's our tip for today. Get hose quick connects. It is so much easier. I don't even know how to describe how I've been living in the tormention of using pliers to unhook everything because it's starting to freeze up, and I'm tightening and loosening and water's shooting everywhere, and it's a giant mess. So hose quick connects allow you to disconnect that easy. So as you can see, one end goes on your hose, the other goes to where you're connecting, and it's literally that quick to connect. So did you get that? Boom, you're connected, you're disconnected. And so the reason this is a big deal is because not just there, but over here, I can disconnect, and even more down here, I can disconnect. And now if my hose is frozen, I can swap out a hose real quick and replace it. I can also disconnect this guy. And then the important thing is, this will be another Travel Tip Tuesday in and of itself, but this is a 2-stage filter. And so this 2-stage filter uses these 2 canisters, and I have 2 different filters in here. One's a 5 micron and another one's 0.5. The point is, this thing has a lot of water in it, and it freezes overnight. And so what I was doing before I had all the disconnects is when I had that tightened down to this, and then this connected to that, it was a pain in the butt to pick this thing up, turn it over, empty out all the water, and leave it out at night. So what I was ended up having to do was open these canisters and then get all the water out, get the filters out, take the filters inside so they don't freeze. Now, in a few moments, I can just disconnect this, take it into the house, leave it in our tub overnight so nothing freezes, and then bring it out the next morning. A million times easier. So hose disconnects, they're only a few bucks. I'm sure we'll have a link down in the description of the ones we got. In fact, I'm ordering more of these because there's a few other things I want to connect this way. But they work great for not only the freshwater side, but also for cleaning out the black tank and doing that stuff. So absolutely fantastic. They don't leak. Once you hook them up once, they don't leak. So every day I was having to connect these things, and then I'd be getting drips, and then I'd have to tighten it more. It's just a giant hassle. The other thing that the reason we went with these is for this right here, my other pocket. So this right here, and you get a close up. So this is your inlet for your water. So for
Your city water.
For your city water to come in from your hose, this is the inlet that's on your camper. Well, the one that came with mine, and I'm sure the one that comes with yours, is plastic. So it's just cheap plastic. Spending months in the last 15 months moving locations and having to hook hoses and unhook hoses, this plastic wears down. So the plastic on this threading was so bad that I was using pliers to crank it down as hard as I could. And what ended up happening is there was pressure on the hose, and the hose would just pop right out. And then I'd be getting sprayed with water, or we'd be leaking. I just couldn't get it tight enough anymore with this plastic fitting. So travel tip number 2 is go online and replace this with a metal one. Again, we'll put our link down below of a brass insert fit that I used. And then the other thing that we got was a 90-degree elbow. So the 90-degree elbow takes tension off because the hose is coming straight up. And the way I situate my hose now, because these white hoses are pretty stiff, it's pointing straight down, so it's not putting a lot of pressure on that fitting. And with the disconnect, I'm not having to remove this all the time, so the connections are going to last a lot longer. So this thing sort of forced me to do this thing, but all of it together makes 100% sense, and you should just go ahead and do it if you're not doing it right now. Can't say enough good things about it.
And really quick before we end, some people might be thinking, why don't you get a heated hose?
Oh yeah, so heated hose. So heated hoses are great, but 1, they're really expensive. 2, just because you have a heated hose from here to here doesn't necessarily mean that one, like this elbow is not going to be heated, right? So this elbow could freeze up. Two, my water pressure valve, that could freeze, right? Or even I have a splitter because I like to be able to run my black hose to do flushes without having to disconnect everything. So I have two different outlets. So this part could freeze. The other part is this thing itself could potentially freeze. Now the way this particular unit's set up is that the water should go down underground and it shouldn't freeze. But I was talking to Rick, the guy that owns this place, and he said sometimes these things mess up and they freeze. Or you could just have water right in here and it freezes. So just because you have a heated hose doesn't mean anything else that's connected to that heated hose isn't going to freeze and still render you without water. So I like to take everything in, and then, you know, by 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, it's heated up enough that we can run water and we're not going to freeze up during the day. The other issue with heated hoses is the guy that just moved in across the way from us, he has a heated hose, but his camper, his connection for his hose is all the way at the front for some reason. And as you can see, we're all the way at the back of our camper where the water is. So his hose isn't even long enough to run back here and use. So he's like, I've got another hose, but like I can't use half heated hose and half regular hose and expect it not to freeze. So it rendered it completely useless. You know, he bought this really expensive hose and it's just not quite long enough for what he needed. So there's a number of reasons why we have chosen not to do that. And then we didn't really expect to be in cold temperatures like this much below freezing. I think when we were deciding whether or not to get one or not. If we were going to be in it for months at a time, I'd probably say, okay, let's bite the bullet and get a heated hose and see if it works as well as everybody says. But I just see that there's a lot of other issues around heated hoses. And so by just being able to disconnect quickly with our quick connect connections, saved me a lot of trouble.
Plus, we don't have to store the heated hose.
Yeah, so that's our Travel Tip Tuesday. It was like a 3-in-1. Get the 90 degree, get the quick disconnects, and you'll be
The brass fitting.
and then the brass fitting as well, and you will be a happy camper. Thanks, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down in the below. We want to say thank you to our Patreon members. We don't do that enough, but we do have a Patreon account. We have members that are awesome that are helping us, you know, make these videos, and we really appreciate it. We want to say thank you to everyone out there watching.